Okay, so let's get started with the next video. And what we're going to do today is talk about sourcing within Family Search. Sourcing is an extremely valuable tool to us, and one of the big issues about genealogy work in general is the fact that so many people have different opinions about what a date is, or where it happened at, or their names or their spellings and stuff like that. So what we really want to do is be able to attach real sources to a person so that nobody else can get that source. And I'll show you through this video what that really means. But basically, we want to show proof, the real, whatever you may call live data, but like birth records, death records, census records, cemetery records. Those things are all sources which prove the fact that the information that is contained on a certain person is valid. Okay? And so what Family Search has done is gone out and done an initial search, and has found, will try to find as many real records as possible. Now we're looking at, in this particular case, we're looking at James Alexander Cox. And Family Search has found these 3 record hints. Okay? Now, this box may change every time you look at it, but basically what you're trying to do is attach as many records to James Alexander Cox as possible that proves that the information that we have here is accurate. Now, we've already, I say we, I have already gone through all the census records and found him in all the censuses. Okay, but if you look down here, at the let me scoot this screen over. Okay, if you look here under the sources, there aren't any. Okay, which means nobody's taken the time to attach official record to James Alexander Cox. So that's what we're going to try to do. Okay, so back to this hint box. Okay, there are like I said, 3 suggestions. Now, one thing about the hint, getting the source records from here, what this does is takes you to the record and allows you to attach the entries in that record to that person, as long as they are part of that person's direct family. Now you're asking, well, what does that mean? And hopefully I can show you this later. But for instance, if this was a marriage record and there was his parents listed and her parents listed, if I did it from here, it would allow me to attach it to James and his parents and his wife, but it would not allow me to attach it to her parents because her parents are not directly tied to James. I hope that makes sense. Okay, but and we'll go into this a little bit later. If you go to this search records, you will get the same records listed in the search records. Okay, and from there you can attach everybody. Okay, and we'll go through and show you how that works. Now remember, basically I told you that when you add sources, they are put, every source is put at the top. Okay, sources, it doesn't really matter a lot because you can sort the sources, and we'll go through that more than likely. Okay, but I like to try to keep it in as much order as I can so that when I get finished and want to sort everything, a lot of it will already be in the right place. Okay, so I'm going to start with James in the 1920 census. Okay, so this gives you just a basic overview of what's there about James in that census. Now, from here, if there's an image, you can go view it. It will show you the image, and you can do what you want with it. You know, you can, for instance, if for some reason you couldn't find the 1920 census information anywhere else, you could get it from here and add that information to your notes in your research database. Okay, but I'm not going to show you that because it's kind of a waste of time here. All right. So, but what you got to do is say, I want to review and attach. It takes a little time to figure everything out. Okay, so when it's done, it says, okay, on this side is the actual information from the census. Okay, on this side is what's in Family Search. Okay, so you can take some time and compare the two to make sure that they are the right people. And in this case, they are. All right, so this right here, I suggest not to do it. There's a place under the person's detail things called additional information. You can put this entry in that list. I don't do that because it clogs it up and it makes it harder to read the pertinent information that really needs to be seen. So I don't do that. So, but you can if you want. That's up to you. All right. So now that we know that they're the same, we say attach. Now you see the little spinning circle, which means he's attaching. Okay. So now the color's changed, and you can see that it has been, attached. Okay. So now we can attach the next person, which is his wife. Okay, so then it takes this up again, and we do the same thing. We say attach, and as you can see, we can do this with everybody that's a part of that family. So we do with the kids, and do this one at a time. Now, one thing you will notice here, in the census, the name is Verdi B. Cox as opposed to Verda B. Cox. Okay, these are the same people. So what you have to do is put the little hand over the name, hold down the left mouse button, and drag it up to where the box you want it to be next to is outlined in yellow, and then you let it go. Okay, and now it's there, and this box says, wait a minute, are you sure this is the right people? Okay, and we have to do that with Carson because he's in the wrong spot, so we move him up, and we want to do this to make sure that everybody's attached to the right person. Okay, all right, so William attach. Now it's not going to let me attach it. Why not? Oh, because this person's marked as living, it won't let me attach that. So what we have to do is, and we'll have to come back to that another way. But if it's marked living, you can't attach any sources to it. I think that's wrong, but that's the way it is. Okay. Okay, so I'll attach that one. And the same with Carson. Okay, marked living, can't attach it. And there's not an entry in the census for Delbert because he died as a child. Okay, and then we got this one. And attach. Okay. So basically that's how you do it. Now, so from here, if there were other people that you knew who they were but were not part of this family, then you would not be able to mess with those, because it just won't let you do that. So we'll return to family tree. And like I said, as far as those living kids are concerned, they're not living, just nobody's updated their death date. So I'll fix that later. But I wanted just to show you how this works. And I'll go through one more census. I know this is kind of boring, but this is what you have to do to get all these sources attached. Oops, gotta wait for that one to get done. All right. Now again, look at here. It says Verda with a U as opposed to Verda with a B. So I'm going to drag her up to this one. Again, it won't let me do it because she's living. But I just want to make sure I'm attaching it to the right people. And then Robert. You'll notice here that these two are not in the census, and that's because they were born after 1910. This is the 1910 census we're leaking, and this one is in the wrong place. Yeah, that one, but he won't let me because he's alive. Okay, so basically that's kind of how that works. All right, so let's go back to family tree. Now I'm going to show you a different way to do this. And here's some information also. They've thrown this one in, the United States 1940 census. Do not think that just because it's in this list that it's the one for you. This is wrong, because this guy died in 1927. Okay, so that could not possibly be him. Okay, but let me show you this. Search records. Now, I told you that the other censuses would be in this list also. But sometimes it's just easier just to make sure that it's not there. For instance, right here. Okay, this is the 1900 census, and the spouse is correct, and that's the child. So over here, I'm going to try to show you this over here, and then I'll come back. All right, right here is a camera. That says you can go look at the image from here. This one means you can see the details about it before you do anything. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to go back to here. All right, so James, this is the one that we're looking at. So we go to James A. Come on, there. Okay, so this is the same preview box that we saw, or similar to the same preview box that we saw from the record hint spot. Okay, gives you just a little basic information. But what this also does, and if you go down and down and down, now let me scoot the screen over so you can see that. Okay. What it also does is shows everybody else that's in that census. So, for instance, if Laura's parents had been here, they would have showed up down here. You could click on their name, and it would switch this view to them, and then you could attach them from here. So that's the difference between search records and record hints. You got more flexibility in the record search records than you do in the hints, but sometimes you don't need that, and sometimes you do. But in any case, from here you want to say attach to family tree. Now when you do that, you'll get the same detail box that you did when you came the other way. Okay, it's just another way of getting things done. Okay, and we attach that one. And when you do it this way, it will take it off that record hint list when we go back, and I'll show you that too. The other thing that's nice about this is, again, I'll have to move the screen in a minute. Okay. Let me show you this. When you do search records, it opens a new window, okay, and leaves the other window there. And the reason that's good is, for instance, if I'm here and I see that there is something different or new or additional that I see here that's not in Family Search, I can come back over here, edit this, and not change the results of that. Okay, so that's kind of another good reason to go through search records rather than the hints, because you can't do that with coming through the hint spot. Okay, so now that we've attached all the people in the census, we have to come down here to say return to record. Okay, and then takes you back to the preview box, and then you have to go to search results. It's a little more cumbersome this way. It takes a little bit more, I don't know, effort, you might say, but it's worth it in the end. Okay. All right, so we saw the 20 census already. And there it is. And if we click on it, you'll see that over here it says already in Family Tree, and you can review the attachments there. This is also good for, like, well, okay, I found everybody but so-and-so in there. I can say review the attachments. It'll bring up that other screen, and then I can fix the ones that weren't there. But I'm going to go back to search results. And I'm going to keep coming down here. One thing about the search results, it's hard because it gives you a lot of information that you really don't care about, and it makes it hard to find records that you really do care about. Okay, so there's all these census records. Like if I'm looking for like a death record or a birth record or something, and it always starts with all these census records. So sometimes you have to be patient and go down pages and pages until you see anything that you like, or you just don't worry about it. Which after I've gone down a few pages and I don't see anything that that looks right, I'm not going to go through all this. It's just too much. It takes too much time to go through this, and you may never find anything. All right, let's see. Yeah, see, I don't see anything else. So, let me show you what I do then. All right, so I'm looking at this. So all I have to do now, see, is close this window, and then I'm back to this window. And the other thing to remember is when you come back from the search window, the search records, this screen has not been refreshed. It just doesn't. When you come back from the hint part, it does refresh. So that's another good thing. So I'm going to refresh the screen, and you'll see then that the census records that we already attached aren't there anymore. Okay, see, so now you can't see that. Hold on. All right, so now the 1900 and the 1910 that we did in search records no longer in this list. Okay, but it did add another James Cox for 1940, but he was dead, so that's not him. Okay, so basically that's what you get. Now, when you're done, then see your sources are listed in the source box. And because we did it in backwards order, they are in the correct order here. But if you want to change them, you just put the cursor on the line and then use the arrows to move it up or down from where you want it to be. Okay? Now, so the reason that we do this, and I'm just going to do this 1880 while I've got it on my screen, but the main point is, so if somebody else comes in and tries to and has a John A. Cox, born in Kentucky, somewhere close to this time frame, they will, and they try to attach this record to that James Alexander, it won't work because it's already attached to my James Alexander. Okay? And so it helps in keeping things, correct. So when that happens, somebody may say, "Whoa, wait! I thought this James A was my James A. Maybe I'm all messed up." And so it gives them time to say, "Oh yeah, okay." Now that we're here in the 1880 census, okay, I attached the parents, the mom and the dad, and one of the boys. But you'll notice that there's two boys that are in the census that aren't here at all. Okay, So that's something that I need to continue to clean up. You can add those from here, but I can't go back to Family Search and add them because I used the hint box as opposed to the search records. Okay, so I could add them here, but I'm not going to because it just doesn't need. I've got to do some more research to make sure that I'm adding these correctly. Okay, but I could add these here, both of these boys, but they're in the census. And as I go through and work on Andrew Cox, these boys will show up, and I'll fix it. But the main point is to show you what this is, why we do this. And so if there's like, oh, I don't know, 20, 30 records that we can tie them all to him, and then there will be nobody can use those as for their people. So now that we've done James, and there's no more real valuable, I wanted to show you this. Let's go to his wife, his first wife. Okay. And in the hint box it says there's just, we couldn't find anything. All right. So let's go to search records. You have to remember about records is that the name that's in the record may or may not be accurate. Okay? So sometimes it's hard to find records because they're not the way you think they should be. For instance, this wife, her name is Virginia Jane Bell Wyatt. Okay? But the searcher couldn't find any matches. However, when I did a search specifically for her, look what I found. J.A. Cox and a Jenny B. Wyatt. Okay? Well, that's them, but it's not Virginia, it's not Jane, it's not Bell, it's just a Cox and a Wyatt, but I know this is the right dates and everything, so I can attach these. Now, if it can't find a direct match, okay, it will ask you to pick from a list of people that you think it should go with. Let me scoot the screen over. Okay, so because Jenny B doesn't match anybody directly, I have to select the right person. Then it will match it all up for me. Okay, so I said, okay, this Jenny B is really Virginia Jane Bell, so I want to attach that. And you'll see that the marriage date in Family Search is 11 April 92, and the one that's in the record is 11 April 92. So we know this is the right people. And despite your best efforts, there may be times when you come across something where this record is attached to somebody else. So you have to do research to find out which one is accurate and which one's not. But you can always come back and detach it if you find out that this is, for some reason, ends up being not correct. Okay? So, oops. Let's go back to the search results. Now, at the point of this recording, I don't know for sure who her parents are. I think it's this one. Okay? Just because Jane's one of her names, and that this is the only other one that's in the 1880 census. But that's Mary Jane, and Mary Jane doesn't seem to fit. This is more than likely her family in 1880, but I can't attach it because I really don't know. All right, so now as far as I can tell, that's the only record that I can find that directly matches her without more research. Now, over here on the right side of this screen is your search criteria, and so we've been looking at Virginia Jane Bell and Wyatt in Laurel, Kentucky between 73 and 77. Once she's married, then her last name becomes a Cox. So sometimes you'll find more records by changing her last name to Cox. So that's what I'm doing. And then we look down, we go down through, let me move this screen back over. I know this is a pain, but there you go. Okay, so now we just kind of go through here and see if there's anything in here. Now remember, she died very young, I don't even remember exactly when. Let's go back to her record. Oh, see, she died in 1898, so she won't be in any census other than the 1880, and I don't know who that is. But anyway, we come through. This is what I do. I check her last name just to be sure there's not a death record or some other thing. But as you can see, there's nothing here. So we exit out of that and we get back to her personal information. Now again, since we had to go through search records, this screen has not been refreshed, so I'm going to refresh the screen. And there's her source. If you click on the source, you can view the source, edit it. You can detach it if you find out something's wrong, or you can actually go there. What this will do is take you to the detail screen of that source, and then allows you to review the attachments here. Okay, so that's how that works. So when you get done with all the sources, then you should have a pretty good idea of what this person's life was like as far as the records are concerned. So again, now that we did that, attach that source, from Virginia, it's also been added here to James, the same one, so that we fix that. Okay, so that's kind of all there is to sourcing. It's important to do it. It's important to make sure it's done right. Attach as many sources as you can, and then when you add the notes and stuff, it will look like it really needs to look. I'm going to try here and show you. See if I can find one that I've done recently. Right here. Okay, see there's no pending hints. Okay, and I've gone through all this. And then when I get down here, look, see this is all of the entries that I was able to do. When I look at this, what I try to do, and I don't do this all the time just because it's such a pain, but I try to put records that are, well, I don't even know, Okay. I try to put records that are government type issued up top, that have to do with prior to their marriage. What did I do? There it is. And I try to keep the census records together. Okay, so there's the 1900, 1920, and 1930. I'm not sure where the 1910 is. And then anything that has to do with his death, I put down here. And then I tried to make sure, and let me show you, I think I can do this with one of his kids. Let me look at this one here, I think. No. Anyway, but you see that you know, the census records are there, the 20, 30, and 40. Birth, death index is at the bottom, or close to it. It should be at the bottom. The order of these actually makes no difference. Okay, and then down here are my notes. Here's where the information I found from the Social Security Death Index. This is the information from the 1920 census, and so forth. So that's what it should look like when you're done. All your notes, all the sources that you could find, and then all the details about the family, and then all the details about him. At this point, I have not found his burial information, so I haven't put that in yet. But as an example, that's what it should look like when you're done. Okay, so with that in mind, I guess we're pretty much done with Family Search. So the next video will be starting into basic research.